Hey everyone, here's what's coming up tonight on News Center Now. Something you order maybe when you're out to eat could be key to help cleaning up the ocean.
A lot of people live paycheck to paycheck, and of course you got to wait for that paycheck to clear before you can pay your bills. But that wait might be a thing of the past if the Federal Reserve has its way, and we'll explain coming up.
Plus, after spending the last 18 months battling cancer, the South Portland Police Department is finally saying welcome back to their key teammate. This is News Center Now.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Lee Nelson.
And I'm Lindsay Mills. It's a social media firestorm that just doesn't seem to go away. The longtime owner of Slate's restaurant in Hallowell found herself in an unusual spot after an employee took on a white supremacist group based in Waterville. Mackenzie Swift, a server and bartender at Slate's, took a screenshot of the anti-immigrant group's Facebook page and posted it to her own, alerting others to the fact that there are groups like that here in our state. The group is run by Tom Kaczynski, the former Jackman town manager who was fired in 2018 for his racist views.
So he and other followers of the group noticed Swift's post and soon sent several messages to the restaurant calling for owner Wendy Larson to fire the young woman. Larson posted a statement on Facebook saying all were welcome at the restaurant. Swift said she stopped going to work because of threats against her and her family and because she believes her boss didn't take a strong enough stance against white supremacy. She also asked for copies of the messages, but Larson said she would only give them to the police. There have been a lot of people interested in this issue and giving their 2 cents out on social media. We have much more on this story, including several interviews on our website and mobile app. We'll continue to follow. All right, switching gears too, but kind of staying with the topic of Maine restaurants, that's a lot of shells. It's an Instagram post from the shop in Portland, which says they've contributed 30,000 oyster shells to a new project.
Yeah, they're one of several restaurants participating in an oyster shell recycling program to help clean up Casco Bay.
The ocean has been part of my life since I can remember.
That's why Teresa Torrent has dedicated her life's work to the ocean. Her latest mission? Combat ocean acidification, which can weaken developing shells of oysters and other species. She's part of a pilot project called Ocean to Plate to Ocean, led by the Casco Bay Estuary Partnership. The idea is returning oyster shells to where they came from.
It's like an antacid for the ocean.
Researchers are working to find out if the shells can remediate the impacts of acidification.
With the process, the chemical process that's happening with more and more CO2 being absorbed into the ocean, that's the result is that we have less carbonate available for the animals that need it for their shell production or skeletal production.
A couple times a week, the Maine Coastal Program collects oyster shells from 10 local businesses. Then they drop them here.
We know that we have filled this rollaway.
This massive container will hold the shells thanks to Eco Maine.
We were really happy to try and help find a home for these oyster shells and put them to a better use than sending them to a landfill.
Eventually, the shells will be spread into Casco Bay, showing innovation is coming out of its shell, literally. It is a dad joke, Keith. It's not clear when exactly the shells will be hauled into Casco Bay. The oyster shells have to undergo a year-long curing process to comply with Department of Environmental Protection rules. That process basically entails the shells drying out, which rids them of any contaminants.
And they're kind of stinky while they're drying out, huh?
They are.
Yeah.
When Lindsay walked in, I was like, how was the story on seafood, baby
gave off a
diapers?
stench, didn't
I'm
I?
not sure. Smell it coming around the corner. I used to, when I first started, Joe Cupo would wear a distinctive cologne. Do you remember this, Lee?
Oh, absolutely.
And it was actually, it was a nice cologne, but I could tell he was here before I saw him.
So are you saying that
I'm just saying.
you smell seafood?
No, that was just a story I thought of out of nowhere. It's fun. Let's take a look at the showers out there right now. We've got quite a few showers around, a couple of thunderstorms as well, a very convective environment. This little cell right here is interesting. It seems like it's kind of stalled out a little bit to north and west of Turner. Another cell north of Athens here. None of this severe though, just has really a lot of moisture to work with. So when they're coming down, it's raining really, really hard for a short period of time. These are lighter showers moving out of down East Maine, and that will be the end of that. The back end though clearing out pretty nicely in through York and Oxford County and into Cumberland County a bit here. So the next few hours look good. There might be another trailing shower later tonight, but in general, we're drying up. And you can see the showers in this model clearing out later this evening. Just a couple of kind of scraggler showers on the back end of it. Tomorrow looks like a better day, guys. A lot more sunshine and dew points start dropping. But as we talked about yesterday, it is for the first time in a while not a perfect weekend. So we'll kind of time out the shower chances in just a minute.
All right, Keith, thanks. Checking on some headlines tonight, beginning with an update on the asylum seekers in Portland. The clock is ticking. They have exactly 1 week to move out of the Portland Expo, or they'll have to move to one of the city's overflow shelters. The city has already found housing for about 150 people, and at last check, there were fewer than 200 asylum seekers staying at the Expo.
Meantime, at the U.S.-Mexican border, at least 40,000 migrants are on a waiting list seeking asylum, or they're waiting for a court hearing here in the U.S. That figure, based on reporting by the Associated Press and Mexican government figures, represents a dramatic increase from the start of the year. In essence, it's turned northern Mexico into kind of a waiting room for U.S. asylum seekers.
More than 200 mayors, including the mayors of El Paso, Texas and Dayton, Ohio, are urging Senate leaders to call senators back to the Capitol to act on gun safety legislation. The mayors crafted a group comment. It says, quote, El Paso and Dayton are just the latest reminders that our nation can no longer wait for our federal government to take the actions necessary to prevent people who should not have access to firearms from being able to purchase them. They urged the Senate to pass 2 bills expanding background checks for gun sales that passed the House earlier this year.
A new United Nations study suggests climate change is actually threatening the world's food supply. The report was written by more than 100 scientists, and it warns that climate change is dramatically degrading the land, and how people use that land is also creating problems. The bright side here, the scientists say it is not a dire situation just yet. The report calls for major changes in eating habits and farming. Experts say reducing meat production would ease the strain that puts on land and water supplies, and also eating a more plant-based diet such as fruits and vegetables and seeds and nuts would actually reduce carbon emissions by about 15%.
Many college students say they don't have access to nutritious food. Researchers from the University of Maryland surveyed nearly 5,000 students. About 1,000 said that they were concerned about their ability to access healthy food. The students reported cutting down on portion sizes, finding cheaper food, or even smoking as a way to distract them from being hungry. Minority, international students, and those who are first-generation college students were more likely to have food insecurity. Still ahead tonight on News Center Now, the waiting time for checks to clear into a bank account may soon be a thing of the past.
Yeah, and for one police officer in South Portland, going to work is like coming home. We'll learn more about why she is more excited than usual to be working with her family in blue.
Welcome back, everyone. A new system is in the works that may allow consumers to pay bills without having to wait for that paycheck to clear.
Yeah, the Federal Reserve Board is developing a system that will process payments in seconds. So it means that consumers and businesses would no longer have to wait hours or days for checks to clear in their bank accounts. The plan is called FedNow, and according to the Federal Reserve, FedNow would permit banks of every size to provide real-time payments to their customers, so individuals would not need to sign up to reap any benefits. It will be a little bit longer before FedNow is out, though. It's expected to be available to banks in 2023 or 2024. Attendance at Disneyland is down this summer.
That's interesting. According to Disney's CEO, attendance has dropped about 3% since the May debut of Star Wars Galaxy Edge Park. The CEO says higher ticket prices and more expensive accommodations could be keeping people away. In January, Disneyland raised its one-day summer ticket prices by 10%, and its annual pass prices also increased pretty significantly. This comes just as Disney World in Orlando is set to reveal its Star Wars Galaxy Edge attraction at the end of the month.
With streaming services and reruns, 90s sitcoms are still really popular, part of people's lives. The people at the Dish Network put together a map that shows the most popular 90s sitcoms by state. And Sabrina the Teenage Witch took the top spot here in Maine.
That's probably my fault.
Oh, you think so?
I think I'm watching all that.
Well, I think it's interesting because one of the stars of that show, Caroline Rhea, actually lives here in Maine, too. Friends was by far the most popular overall, winning 12 states. And these are how the results came to be. They took the top 15 shows from Ranker.com and then analyzed Google search volume from the last 15 years to find out what show in each state was the most popular. So
I had no
there you
idea
go.
Caroline Rhea lived in Maine.
Yeah, she was in the Kennebunk area.
Oh, if you're watching Caroline, we met a few years ago. I got to interview her when she was swinging through Peoria for
There
her
you go.
stand-up comedy.
Yes. Yeah.
She is something else.
Yes, indeed.
Very funny.
There you go. We'll have to have her in here. Up next, we're going to meet the police officer who is conquering more than crime in her city.
And Keith is back to look at that weekend forecast. What?
You never seen this movie?
No.
You never seen it?
No.
Oh, you're gonna have a couple
What's the
months to watch something.
Linda Barker has been a key part of the South Portland Police Department since 1981. For nearly 40 years, she's been impacting the lives of everybody she meets.
But last February, her doctors told her some devastating news. She had cancer and would have to hang up her uniform. It was a long journey, but today Linda is in remission and had some exciting news for her department. Samantha York joins us now with more in her story. Hey, Sam.
Hey guys, yeah, we first introduced you to Linda about a year ago after the department rallied around her to raise money for her treatments. Now she's back in action and stronger than ever. It's been quite a while since Linda Barker last sat at her desk.
It is tremendous. It's my first day and it's kind of surreal, but it's like I never left in a way too.
The longtime South Portland police officer was welcomed back to the department this morning after spending the last 18 months fighting for her life.
This is my third cancer and really wasn't prepared to hear that I had leukemia.
It was a diagnosis Linda was determined to beat, and one she refused to let hold her back from doing the work that she loves again.
Everybody was so happy to see me, arms out wide and hugs, and decorated my office, but being gone so long and then coming back, it was like coming home.
Coming home to her family in blue, one that never doubted her strength or perseverance.
Linda's a fighter. She's put cancer in her rearview mirror twice before already, and there was no doubt, just in terms of that tenacity and that person that we all know that she is, that she was going to get through this and that she was going to be just fine.
As Linda jumps back into her work feet first, she says she's overcome with emotions. It's a day she never doubted would come, but she is so happy it's finally here.
I can't even imagine not having my law enforcement family. They're tremendous people. They're wonderful people. And just feeling very grateful.
Linda is now in remission, and today was actually her rebirthday. 1 year ago today, she received her bone marrow transplant that saved her life. So we're happy to see her back with her law enforcement family, and honestly, I don't know who's more excited about it, her or the department. Guys, back to you.
They can fight about who's happiest.
Yeah,
Right? That sounds
exactly.
good. Great story, Sam. Thank you very much.
Very cool. Warm welcome back.
Mm-hmm.
Well wishes for her. Well wishes for the weekend weather too, Keith. I mean, what are we looking at here?
You're skipping Friday? Just gonna go right past.
I'm ready to get to
yeah.
the weekend at this
Okay.
point.
I actually
Friday kind of counts as a weekend day for a lot of people,
and
right?
actually probably the nicest one if you count it as a weekend day. Tomorrow's probably the best day, but yeah, you know, it doesn't look bad. It's just we've been on such a stretch of amazing weather. It's all relative. Here's a look at the radar. We have a couple of downpours in there. And they just kind of keep popping up, even on the backside here, a few more into New Hampshire that will get into Oxford County in the next hour or so. Most of this stuff is pop-up activity. This cell here has been really slow moving and putting down some heavy rain. Some heavy rain here towards Dexter as well. And Waterville, that cell is dying out a bit. And to the north, kind of more the same. Moderate to heavy rain. The atmosphere is stacked. There's a lot of precipitable water, so that means that we can get some really heavy downpours out of these showers and thunderstorms. As far as the visible satellite goes, you can see that clearing that occurred over the southwestern corner of the state, and that was really important because it pushed temperatures up there, and it was a much different day than it was, say, over northern or down East Maine, where it was cloudier and showery throughout the day. Dew points upper 60s, low 70s, so very tropical air mass in place, and a little bit uncomfortable, especially when we did break sun here and there. It made the air feel a little bit too warm. Overnight tonight, slowly, sequentially, will bring those dew points down. So hour by hour forecast, a couple more hours of showers, maybe a rumble of thunder, nothing severe out of these. Later tonight, we're partly cloudy, and then tomorrow's a good-looking day, especially along the coastline. That's the best area for tomorrow. Temperatures into the upper 70s and low 80s. Into the mountains, we'll see a few clouds, maybe even a sprinkle there, but most of us remain dry and the dew points are down, so it's more comfortable. And then Saturday, we start with a lot of sunshine, but we do have a little trough that has to come through. So Saturday afternoon, we're looking at showers as a decent possibility, maybe a rumble of thunder. I think most of it is just shower activity, and then back to partly cloudy skies on Sunday. So again, you know, this isn't a bad setup, it's just more active, and you'll see even after our little Saturday disturbance that we get a decent day on Monday, and then another little disturbance comes through Monday night, another one on Tuesday night. So we're just going to kind of keep moving these along in a pretty quick moving pattern where there's disturbances around. So, you know, the net result is just more of an average 7-day, but even still, we're doing all right. Split state forecast on Tuesday. It could be warm over southern Maine and much cooler over central and northern Maine. I think that Sunday is definitely the better of the 2 weekend days. Timing wise, Saturday morning is the best part of Saturday. It's just the afternoon that I'm a little iffy on. I think there'll be a decent amount of showers. Probably, I said yesterday 40%, it's probably 50%. It's probably about a 50-50 shot of seeing one of those showers, which I'm sure to the brides-to-be really is helpful. But, you know,
Yes, yes.
it's out there. What are you gonna do? It's, you know what probably stinks if you had an event, because Saturday is not bad, but it's just that you knew the last 5 were
Right.
just knockout.
Should have done it
Just
last
knockout.
weekend.
There's just no way to know.
I know.
Not
No,
far in
there
advance.
is. All right,
Very
Keith,
good.
thanks. Hey, this is kind of cool. Veggie fans, you can rejoice now. It's finally here. The Impossible Burger will be available at Burger King nationwide. It is today, in fact.
CNBC's Dee Roy takes a look at what that means for the ongoing fight to become king of meatless meat.
Introducing the Impossible Whopper, launching at more than 7,000 Burger King stores nationwide. It's Impossible Foods' largest partnership to date, and a big win for the company in its race against competitor Beyond Meat over deals with restaurant chains.
I think we have the best product of any kind, the best burger of any kind on the market, but it's really for consumers to make that call.
Plant-based meat products from Impossible Foods and Beyond Meat are changing the fast food industry. The two companies are quickly landing partnerships with some of the biggest nationwide food chains, including Carl's Jr., Del Taco, White Castle, and Red Robin.
We think the big win here is bringing this to the masses at a compelling price.
Some industry watchers believe it's not a fad. Barclays says alternative meat can take a 10% bite out of the $140 billion global meat industry. And nearly a fifth of all Americans are trying to reduce their meat intake, according to NPD Group. Even iconic brand McDonald's might be eyeing plant-based meat.
But we're keeping a close eye on it and watch this space.
Still, there are skeptics, like the CEO of Chipotle, who recently said the chain would not include alternative proteins on its menu because they're too processed.
It's crazy because people think of processed foods as like, you know, salty junk foods made by food manufacturers that really don't care that much about the health of consumers. We are incredibly conscientious about the health of our consumers.
Besides changing the restaurant industry, alternative proteins are also landing on grocery store shelves. Impossible Foods has announced it will soon start offering plant-based ground meat products at grocers and retailers starting next month. Aditi Roy, CNBC Business News, Redwood City, California.
All right, you said you're going to try some tonight, right?
We are, yeah. How about you? Have you tried
I haven't
those
had
before?
those, no.
I know.
You'll have to let us know tomorrow night.
Lettuce, get it? Let us know. Okay. Well, we know Tom Brady is the greatest of all time, but a new video he posted may put him further ahead of every other quarterback. Brady was throwing to himself over and over again. Imagine if he could do that in a real game. The Patriots begin their 4-game preseason schedule against the Detroit Lions tonight, and they begin the quest for the Super Bowl #7 in 1 month against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I watched that a couple times, and you can't see where it stops and starts. It's really a really good loop. Yeah. Interesting. All right, let's talk to Cindy, see what's coming up at 5:30. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, guys. Republican activists are out and about getting people to sign up petitions for a people's veto. They are trying to take 12 different bills that were signed by Governor Mills this year and challenge them by bringing them to a statewide vote. Those bills range from the vaccination bill to death with dignity to solar energy to how we do presidential primaries, really wide-ranging things. We're going to have much more on that effort to undo those pieces of legislation. Also, how a group of people rescued a baby loon and then returned it to its family. And we are told by the guy who headed this whole operation, there was not a dry eye in the boat when they dropped that baby loon back off. Back to you.
I really do love that story.
Yeah, can't wait for it.
Very good. We'll see you guys at 5:30.
Yes,
We're
indeedy.
back with Brain Drops after this. I tried not to laugh today. I tried not to laugh.
Story of my life.
Yeah.
Okay, today's isn't overly cerebral, our Brain Drops, but it's just a bunch of really cool videos of the Atlas V launch down this morning in Florida. Let's make this a little bigger if it's possible. It was early this morning, and I just think this is so fascinating to watch.
Yeah.
And I've never had the pleasure of seeing one in person. Just never timed it out right when they were doing a launch.
Why does it look like it's going sideways instead of
up? That has to do with the fact that the perspective of it is such that, and by the way, this is a reason some people are flat earthers, because they're like, look, it's going sideways to get into outer space. But it has to do with perspective. It's you can't really tell where it is, but it is going to keep going up, and eventually you'll see the booster come back down. This is actually a little bit of a better vantage because of look where it is in the trajectory. So it's not as straight up as you would think. But this one is pretty cool too. I think, again, it would just be neat to be able to watch one of these from your backyard.
Sure.
I don't really want to live in Florida, but otherwise, pretty neat. And these are other pictures of the kind of contrails that it left behind with the vapor. Isaac, do we have time for yours? Because that one was pretty cool too. That's its booster detaching. And this is not the same one, but this is Elon Musk showing them landing one of their boosters on a boat. So that's a boat in the ocean, and that's a giant net, and the rocket booster has obviously a parachute, and it is very gentle.
They reuse these, right?
Yes, and so I was saying before that Elon Musk has been really big on trying to get these rocket boosters back in one place. They reverse thrusted them, landed them on the launch pad once, and this is them catching in the ocean. The amount of math necessary for this is tremendous.
I also love that we don't have these hammocks to catch skydivers, but we have them to
this is really expensive apparently.
Equipment.
$5 or $6 million boat. So
very cool. News in Maine at 5:30 starts right now.